Hello guys, welcome to Infinite Stories. Please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories. Let's get into the story. Cynthia sat alone, rubbing her swollen belly as tears streamed down her face. Her marriage to Timothy had become unbearable. Once charming and loving, Timothy was now a shameless flirt, spending his nights at clubs while Cynthia struggled with her pregnancy. She had begged him for attention, for care, but he had grown colder with every passing day. Her heart ached with the realization that the man she had vowed to love forever no longer cared about her or their unborn child. Timothy strolled in late that night, reeking of alcohol and perfume. Cynthia tried to speak to him about the baby kicking, but he dismissed her with a wave of his hand, muttering something about being tired. She retreated to her room, clutching her belly and whispering to her baby, "It's just you and me now." Despite her pain, Cynthia resolved to be strong for her child, hoping against hope that Timothy would someday remember his responsibilities. The days dragged on, and Timothy's behavior worsened. He came home less frequently, spending more time at bars and with women who didn't know he was married. Cynthia felt abandoned, left to navigate her pregnancy alone. One morning, she woke up with sharp pains shooting through her body. Her heart raced as she realized her labor had begun. She grabbed her phone and dialed Timothy's number repeatedly, but he didn't answer. Panic set in as the contractions intensified, and she struggled to walk out of the house, hoping to find someone who could help. As she staggered down the street, clutching her belly and gasping for breath, a man named Solomon noticed her distress. He rushed to her side, asking what was wrong, but the pain was so intense she couldn't respond. Without hesitation, Solomon helped her into his car and sped to the nearest hospital. His concern for this stranger moved Cynthia, but her heart still yearned for her husband, hoping he'd care enough to show up. At the hospital, the nurses quickly attended to Cynthia, but she couldn't stop herself from dialing Timothy's number again. This time, he answered, but his tone was far from concerned. Loud music boomed in the background, and Timothy sounded irritated. "What do you want?" he snapped. Cynthia, with tears in her eyes, told him she was in labor and needed him by her side. She begged him to come, hoping he'd show even a shred of compassion. Timothy laughed bitterly and told her to never call him again. "I don't care if you die," he said coldly before hanging up. Cynthia stared at her phone in disbelief, her heart shattering into pieces. She turned to the nurse, who gently assured her that everything would be fine. With no one else to rely on, Cynthia pushed through the pain, determined to bring her baby into the world despite the betrayal. Cynthia gave birth to a beautiful baby boy she named Jason. Holding him in her arms brought a wave of love she had never felt before. She promised to protect him with everything she had, even if it meant doing it alone. Solomon, who had waited outside the delivery room, stepped in to check on her. He congratulated her, his warm smile offering a sense of comfort in the midst of her heartbreak. Cynthia thanked him profusely, unable to believe a stranger had shown her more kindness than her own husband. As Solomon prepared to leave, Cynthia explained her situation, feeling safe enough to confide in him. He was shocked by Timothy's cruelty and offered her a place to stay until she figured things out. At first, Cynthia hesitated, but she knew she couldn't return to the toxic environment Timothy had created. With Jason in her arms, she accepted Solomon's offer, ready to start a new chapter in her life. Moving into Solomon's modest home felt like a fresh start for Cynthia. He made sure she and Jason were comfortable, even going out of his way to buy baby supplies. Cynthia was overwhelmed by his kindness, wondering why a stranger cared more about her well-being than the man who had vowed to love her. Slowly, she began to open up to Solomon about her struggles, and he listened patiently, offering words of encouragement. Solomon admired Cynthia's strength and resilience. Despite everything she had been through, she remained a devoted mother and a kind-hearted woman. Over time, the two of them grew closer, sharing meals and late-night conversations. Solomon found himself drawn to her, but he kept his feelings to himself, knowing she was still healing from her heartbreak. Meanwhile, Timothy's life was spiraling out of control. One night, after leaving a club heavily intoxicated, he got into a car accident. The impact left him severely injured and unable to walk without assistance. Worse still, the doctors informed him he had become impotent due to the trauma. Timothy's flashy lifestyle came to an abrupt halt, and he was forced to confront the emptiness of his choices. Lying in his hospital bed, Timothy thought of Cynthia and the child he had abandoned. Regret began to seep into his heart as he realized he had lost the only family he had. But his pride wouldn't let him reach out just yet. He convinced himself that he could win her back whenever he wanted, even as the days turned into weeks and he heard nothing from her. Cynthia, on the other hand, was thriving in her new environment. Jason grew stronger every day, and his laughter filled the home Solomon had so generously shared with them. Cynthia began to see a side of life she hadn't experienced before, a life free from Timothy's neglect and cruelty. She started to trust Solomon more, appreciating his steady presence and the way he treated Jason like his own son. One evening, as they sat together on the porch, Solomon opened up about his own past. He told Cynthia about losing his wife to illness and how he had vowed to never let anyone he cared about suffer again. His honesty touched Cynthia deeply, and she found herself seeing him in a new light. For the first time in a long time, she felt safe and cared for. Timothy was finally discharged from the hospital, but his life was a shadow of what it once was. The women who had surrounded him disappeared, uninterested in a man who could no longer flaunt his wealth and charm. He spent his days alone, consumed by thoughts of Cynthia and the family he had turned his back on. Eventually, Timothy decided to swallow his pride and reach out to Cynthia. He dialed her number, only to find it disconnected. Panic set in as he realized he had no idea where she was or how to find her. For the first time, he felt the weight of his actions and the consequences of his selfishness. Cynthia was slowly rebuilding her life, thanks to Solomon's unwavering support. She had started a small business selling handmade crafts, and the extra income allowed her to contribute to their household. Her confidence grew with each passing day, and she began to envision a future where she and Jason could thrive. One afternoon, as Solomon played with Jason in the yard, Cynthia watched them from the kitchen window. A smile spread across her face as she realized how much Solomon had become a part of their lives. She couldn't deny the growing feelings she had for him, but a part of her hesitated, afraid of repeating the mistakes of her past. Timothy eventually found Cynthia's address after weeks of searching. He arrived unannounced, hoping to apologize and win her back. When Cynthia opened the door and saw him standing there, she froze. The sight of him brought back all the pain and betrayal she had worked so hard to move past. Timothy begged for her forgiveness, explaining his accident and how it had changed him. But Cynthia's heart had hardened toward him. She reminded him of his cruel words on the day she gave birth and how he had abandoned her in her time of need. As Timothy pleaded, Solomon stepped forward, making it clear that Cynthia and Jason were no longer his to claim. Cynthia stood firm as Timothy continued to plead for forgiveness. Her heart ached as she remembered the years of neglect and his cruel words in the labor room. Solomon gently intervened, asking Timothy to leave, but Timothy refused. He claimed he had changed and deserved another chance. Cynthia, however, told him that his words had left scars too deep to heal. She reminded him that Jason needed a stable environment, and Timothy's presence would only bring chaos. Heartbroken but resolute, Cynthia shut the door, choosing her peace over his empty promises. Inside, Solomon comforted her, his steady presence a stark contrast to Timothy's turbulence. Jason, unaware of the tension, giggled in Solomon's arms. Cynthia watched them, realizing how much Solomon had stepped into the role Timothy had abandoned. That evening, she thanked Solomon for standing by her side. Solomon, in turn, assured her that she deserved love and happiness. Their bond deepened, and Cynthia found herself letting go of the pain Timothy had caused. Timothy spiraled into self-pity after Cynthia's rejection. Alone in his small apartment, he realized he had no one left. The accident had stripped him of his pride, and Cynthia's firm stance shattered his last hope of reconciliation. Determined to prove he could change, Timothy began seeking therapy and re-evaluating his life. Though his intentions were genuine, his efforts couldn't undo the years of damage he had caused. Meanwhile, Cynthia's business flourished, and her confidence soared. She started attending local markets, where her crafts gained popularity. Solomon supported her every step of the way, often watching Jason while she worked. Cynthia felt a renewed sense of purpose and independence. She no longer viewed herself as the abandoned wife but as a strong, capable mother. One evening, Solomon confessed his feelings for Cynthia. He told her how much he admired her strength and how deeply he cared for her and Jason. Cynthia was taken aback but deeply moved. She admitted she had feelings for him too but hesitated, worried about moving on too quickly. Solomon reassured her that he wasn't trying to replace Timothy but wanted to build a future with her. Cynthia decided to take things slow, allowing their relationship to grow naturally. They started spending more time together, and Jason grew fond of Solomon, often calling him uncle. Their home became a place of laughter and love, a stark contrast to the loneliness Cynthia had endured with Timothy. Timothy, still trying to redeem himself, decided to meet Jason. He arrived at Solomon's house uninvited, demanding to see his son. Cynthia, furious at his audacity, reminded him that he had abandoned them when they needed him most. Solomon stepped in, warning Timothy not to disrupt their peace. Timothy left, humiliated but more determined than ever to prove he could be a better man. Cynthia struggled with guilt after the encounter. She didn't want Jason to grow up without knowing his biological father, but she also didn't want Timothy's toxic presence to affect their lives. After discussing it with Solomon, she decided to set boundaries, ensuring that Jason's well-being remained her top priority. Solomon officially proposed to Cynthia during a small dinner at home. He knelt down with a simple ring and told her how much he wanted to spend his life with her and Jason. Overwhelmed with emotion, Cynthia accepted, her heart finally feeling whole again. Jason clapped excitedly, unaware of the significance but happy to see his mother smiling. Their engagement brought a wave of joy into their lives. Cynthia began planning a small wedding, excited about starting a new chapter. She felt grateful for the second chance at love and was determined to build a happy, stable family with Solomon. As their wedding day approached, Timothy sent Cynthia a letter. He apologized for everything he had done and admitted that losing her was the biggest mistake of his life. While the letter stirred old emotions, Cynthia knew she had made the right choice. She shared the letter with Solomon, who supported her decision to move forward without Timothy on her wedding day. Cynthia walked down the aisle, holding Jason's hand. Solomon stood at the altar, his eyes filled with love and admiration. Their vows were heartfelt, promising to support and cherish each other for the rest of their lives. It was a day of joy and healing, marking the beginning of their new life together. Married life with Solomon was everything Cynthia had hoped for. He treated Jason as his own, and their home was filled with love and laughter. Cynthia's business continued to grow, and Solomon encouraged her to dream even bigger. They worked as a team, building a life that was full of joy and purpose. Meanwhile, Timothy's life remained stagnant. Though he had made some progress in therapy, he couldn't shake the loneliness that consumed him. He often thought about Cynthia and Jason, regretting the choices that had led to his downfall. One day, Timothy showed up unannounced, claiming he wanted to see Jason. Cynthia, now more confident and assertive, told him he could visit but only under her terms. She made it clear that Jason's safety and happiness were her priority. Timothy agreed, grateful for the chance to be a part of his son's life, even if it was limited. Jason was initially shy around Timothy but warmed up to him over time. Solomon, ever supportive, encouraged Cynthia to allow Jason to build a relationship with his biological father. It was a difficult decision, but Cynthia trusted Solomon's judgment. As Jason grew older, he began to understand the dynamics of his family. He loved Solomon as a father but also grew curious about Timothy. Cynthia and Solomon handled his questions with honesty, ensuring he felt secure and loved. Their blended family wasn't perfect, but it worked because of the love and effort they put into it. Timothy continued to visit occasionally, but he knew he would never be able to replace Solomon in Jason's life. He accepted his role and focused on becoming a better person. Though his relationship with Cynthia would never be repaired, he found solace in being a part of Jason's life. Cynthia looked back on her journey, amazed at how far she had come. From being abandoned and heartbroken to finding love and building a stable life, she felt stronger than ever. Solomon's unwavering support and love had been her anchor, and she was grateful every day for the family they had built together. Timothy, though still dealing with his regrets, found peace in knowing that Jason was happy and well cared for. He respected the boundaries Cynthia had set and focused on his personal growth. Meanwhile, Cynthia and Solomon continued to thrive, proving that love, resilience, and kindness could create a beautiful life. Cynthia and Solomon decided to invest in a larger house to accommodate their growing family and Cynthia's expanding business. With Jason's school and her business thriving, life seemed perfect. One evening, Solomon surprised Cynthia with news of a business trip that could open more doors for their future. Cynthia supported him wholeheartedly, thankful for his hard work and dedication to their family. Jason, now more curious about life, began asking deeper questions about family and relationships. Cynthia and Solomon made it a point to answer with love and honesty, ensuring he felt secure. Their bond as a family grew even stronger, with Jason expressing how proud he was of his parents. Timothy showed signs of change, volunteering at community centers and speaking to young men about the dangers of neglecting their families. Though Cynthia was cautious about him, she appreciated his efforts to become better. One afternoon, he brought a gift for Jason, a small gesture to show his love. Jason accepted it with a smile, and Cynthia saw a glimmer of hope in Timothy's transformation. Meanwhile, Cynthia's relationship with Solomon deepened further. They started planning a vacation to give Jason new experiences. It was a testament to their hard work and unity, a well-deserved reward for the love and sacrifices they had made for each other. On their vacation, the family visited a serene coastal town. It was Jason's first time seeing the ocean, and his excitement was contagious. Solomon and Cynthia enjoyed watching him explore the beach, collecting seashells and chasing waves. The trip reminded them of the beauty of simple moments shared together. During a quiet evening on the beach, Solomon and Cynthia reflected on their journey. They promised to always support each other no matter what challenges lay ahead. For Cynthia, the trip was another reminder that choosing Solomon was the best decision she ever made. Back home, Timothy called to inform Cynthia he had met someone new. He explained how he wanted to start a fresh chapter in his life and assured her he would always respect the boundaries they had set. Cynthia wished him well, genuinely hoping he would find happiness and peace. Solomon noticed how much lighter Cynthia seemed after the call. It was as though a lingering weight had been lifted. They celebrated this new chapter with a small family dinner, appreciating how far they had come and the happiness they now shared. Jason excelled in school, and his teachers often praised him for his kindness and intelligence. Cynthia and Solomon were proud of the young man he was becoming. To encourage his growth, they enrolled him in extracurricular activities, where he discovered a love for painting. Cynthia began showcasing Jason's work in her shop, attracting even more customers. Her shop became a symbol of love, family, and resilience, inspiring everyone who walked through its doors. Jason's talent and Solomon's support made Cynthia's heart swell with gratitude. Timothy visited Jason on his birthday, bringing along his new partner. Cynthia and Solomon welcomed them politely, ensuring the visit was peaceful. Jason enjoyed the company, excited to have both his biological father and Solomon celebrating with him. It was a bittersweet moment for Cynthia but a necessary step in ensuring Jason had a balanced upbringing. Later that evening, Cynthia and Solomon reassured Jason that he was deeply loved by everyone in his life. Jason hugged them tightly, expressing how grateful he was for his family. The moment solidified their bond, a reminder of the love that had carried them through tough times. Solomon received recognition at work for his dedication and innovative ideas. His promotion came with added responsibilities, but he managed to balance work and family life seamlessly. Cynthia admired his ability to remain grounded despite his success. Cynthia's business also reached new heights, with orders pouring in from across the region. She hired more staff to meet the demand, creating opportunities for others in her community. Together, she and Solomon built a legacy of love, hard work, and generosity. Jason's art gained attention when one of his paintings was displayed at a local gallery. Solomon and Cynthia attended the event, proud parents cheering him on. Jason beamed as guests complimented his work, thanking his parents for their encouragement and support. The gallery owner approached Cynthia, expressing interest in collaborating with her business. It was a turning point for her, combining her passion for crafts with Jason's growing talent. The future looked bright for their family, filled with endless possibilities. Cynthia and Solomon decided to renew their vows to celebrate their love and the journey they had traveled together. The ceremony was intimate, attended by close friends, family, and their supportive community. Jason served as the ring-bearer, proudly walking alongside his parents. As they exchanged vows, Cynthia couldn't help but reflect on how far she had come. From heartbreak and struggle to finding love and building a strong family, her journey was a testament to resilience and faith. Solomon promised to love her endlessly, and she promised the same. Years later, Jason stood on stage at his graduation, delivering a heartfelt speech about the power of love and family. He thanked his parents for their unwavering support, crediting them for the person he had become. Cynthia and Solomon watched with tears of pride, knowing their sacrifices had been worth it. After the ceremony, the family gathered for a quiet celebration at home. Jason's achievements were a reflection of their journey together, a blend of love, patience, and hard work. As they laughed and shared stories, Cynthia realized that happiness wasn't something you waited for, it was something you built, one loving moment at a time. That's the end of the story. What did you learn about the story? Please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories. Thanks for watching.